Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would like to welcome all the listeners and participants of this webinar, which is on Masters in Business and Public Policy of SDSB LAMS. I am Dr. Anjum Fayyaz. I am the program director of this program, and today we are going to talk about the broader understanding of this program and why we started this program, what kind of faculty members are there, and what is going to be the future prospects of this program. And then we'll start our webinar with short introduction of panelists. I'll start from my introduction. We have Dr. On Raza with us. He is the Associate Dean Academics. We have Dr. Ghazal Zulfikar with us. She's Associate Professor and an expert in business government relations and business and public policy. We have Ms. Rabia Jamil. She is representing National Productivity Organization. She is the regional head and operational head of National Productivity Organization, and we have marketing team, and we have support staff from LUMS who is actually supporting us for this. Okay, अगर मैं अपनी background की बात करूं, तो वैसे तो मैंने I started my career as a mechanical engineer, and if I look at my career, it has 3 decades, I would say. जो पहले 10 साल थे, after doing my engineering from UET as a mechanical engineer, I started working in the public sector. So interestingly, my experience started from Ministry of Railways as a public sector officer for almost 10 years, 9 to 10 years of that decade. और उसके बाद then I joined LUMS for MBA program, realizing the connection of public sector and understanding of public sector sort of knowledge and its connection with the business side. So I just wanted to sort of connect or try to understand, I would say, to connect how to connect these two sides. So I joined LUMS for the MBA program, and from there my journey of industry academia linkage started, and then I try to sort of work on industry, academia, public sector, and social side. And somehow I joined UN for almost 10 years once again. So the second decade was a connection with this NGO sector, political economy of aid, and its connection with the business side. And somehow then during this process, I realized the importance of going back to academia, and I started my PhD from that process, from that, how should I say, it's from that period. And then I did my PhD from Copenhagen Business School, Denmark. Again, the area was strategy, public sector, NGO sector, corporate social responsibility, strategic analysis. And then I came back to LUMS as a professor and started working on this domain, which is basically business and public policy. I worked on USAID project on assessment and strengthening program, which was again building the capacity of public sector officers on the business management side and the local techniques of management. Then I also worked for David and Lucide Packard Foundation. For almost 3 years, I've been working on family planning and reproductive health. Again, it's a connection of industry, academia, NGO sector, public sector. And in the last 5 to 6 years, we work on an interesting initiative, which is called CEOs at LUMS. A short name was CAL. The objective was, again, to connect industry, academia, and public sector, and somehow creating the impact on the social side. So with this background, and I was requested by business school to take the lead of this program. And I'm here to sort of work for this program, inshallah, to add value, not only on the supply side, but also on the demand side. So with this introduction, I would like to move to our first panelist, Dr. Syed On Raza. He is the Associate Dean Academics, with a bigger question, an umbrella question, that what is the business policy landscape in Pakistan somehow, and then how this program is going to fit or is already sort of fitted into the the overall vision and mission statement of SDSB and LUMS in the broader sense. So may I request on to sort of tell us the broader picture of this program and how it is there as part of business schools. Jion, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anjum. Assalamu alaikum. So, LUMS has been around for more than 3 decades. It primarily started off as a vision of our founders. Uh, and it was back in early 80s that the foundation stone was laid from LUMS. The idea at that time was that we need to have an institution in Pakistan which excels in business management and mainly to support the Pakistani business sector and to support the engine of growth in Pakistan. So, from very humble beginnings, LUMS has now grown to be the premier university, a multidisciplinary university, which spans the business school, the engineering school, law school, humanities, school of education. Now, throughout our journey for more than 3 years, we've had a singular focus, and that has been how can we make an impact in the society uh, and in Pakistan, and naturally being housed in Lahore. Uh, we have always The focus has always been on what LUMS can do to further improve and further contribute towards the growth of this country in terms of providing specialized skill set, in terms of advising businesses, advising organizations, public sector on with the big question with always this at the back of our mind कि हम impact क्या create कर रहे हैं, हम सोसाइटी को और हम पाकिस्तान के लिए क्या किस तरह उससे बेहतर से बेहतर की तरफ ले जाने में हमारा एक रोल है. So over the years, we as we evolved, and the business and the higher education sector evolved in Pakistan, and the business education sector evolved in Pakistan, where LUMS contributed. Then there has been more. We've started looking into more specialized area, and that's where the birth of uh, the the specialized programs came in. I would like in like 5 minutes time, I think Dr. Ghazal will be able to elaborate better on the journey that LUMS has had in the business policy and public policy domain. But the idea of all of the idea behind this MS Business and Public Policy program is, as the world moves and as Pakistan moves towards another decade of growth and development, um, we are trying to assist that growth by providing specialized skill set, by providing human resource which is specialized in dealing with public policy issues with uh, and business related matters. And that's basically jahan se is program ka genesis hua, and now we are at this point where we have our first batch which has completed the first 2 semesters of their program, and hopefully they will be graduating towards the end of this year with this. So yeah, so that's where LUMS comes in into the whole bigger picture of how with Pakistan's growth in public sector as well as in businesses, we're trying to bridge that gap by providing a human resource and skill set. Dr. Anju.
Thank you very much, On. And you talked about the impact part, uh, and um, uh, and I know that LUMS is already working on the impact side, social impact side, through some of the centers, and one of those centers is Center for Business and Society, which is being led by Dr. Zara Waheed. So again, that impact part is already, I mean, on the operational side, we are trying to do that. But if I go back to the journey side, which you just mentioned, uh, so I would like to request Dr. Ghazal to throw some light on this. ये जर्नी शुरू कहाँ से हुआ और क्यों हमने ये पब्लिक पॉलिसी से कहानी शुरू की और अब हम बिजनेस और पब्लिक पॉलिसी में आ गए। इससे पहले कि मैं डॉक्टर मिस राबिया जमील के पास जाऊं, मैं डॉक्टर फजल से गुजारिश करूंगा, एक तो अपने आप को थोड़ा सा इंट्रोडक्शन, कुछ शॉर्ट इंट्रोडक्शन दें और फिर काइंडली हमें बताएं कि ये प्रोग्राम का एकेडमिक पर्सपेक्टिव क्या था जब हमने इसे कंसेप्चुलाइज किया। जी डॉक्टर।
Thank you so much, Doctors Anjum and On. So before we talk about policy, let's talk about the business school and LUMS and how unique, or in some ways you can say eccentric it is, right? So after I got my MBA after a little bit of work experience in Pakistan and in the UK, I decided that the corporate side was not for me. And so I went into nonprofits in the US, and then I got a PhD in public policy and continued working, there with the Massachusetts government on issues of education, homelessness. And I never thought that I would step inside a business school again. That is until I saw what LUMS was doing. And I was really humbled to see that a business school can do everything that you thought unimaginable. So in my mind, I thought marketing, OB, strategy, accounting, finance ke alawa business school aur kuch nahi kar sakta. But when I met with the leadership of LUMS and saw what was happening, and this was sometime in 2013, I was just amazed. So we have people right now in our faculty that, of course, have their PhDs in marketing and strategy, accounting, finance, but also in health anthropology. We have PhDs in public administration, PhDs in development studies, and of course, public policy, right? So how many business schools can actually say that we have faculty that is truly transdisciplinary? And it's not just that our administrators and our board took on this faculty and then said, now teach what a business school teaches. They said, let's do exciting things with these transdisciplinary focus. And so one of the first things when I came in 2014, we launched a undergraduate minor in public management. And the faculty that designed this minor were all people that did have a background in business, but they also had terminal degrees in public administration, development, and policy. And that minor became so successful. Most of our graduates went on to get their master's degrees, and some of them even their PhDs in the field. So we then started working with the broader faculty and with the university to think about how we could take this a step further into graduate study, right? So masters in policy and business is a direct outcome of those years of conversations and trying to get excited with the other faculty and their support, right? So this in a nutshell is our journey. Uske alawa, we've had centers. You mentioned SEDC, the Social Enterprise Development Center. You also mentioned the Business School Center for Business and Society, but there was also the Center for Governance and Public Management, right? So we've had a rich history of policy and business that this master's is standing on.
Thank you, Dr. Ghazal. Very interesting thing you mentioned, that the kind of resources we have in terms of faculty members. And I would like to mention some of the names here, like we have Dr. Ahsan Rana with very strong sort of background in business and public policy. Then we have Dr. Asfar Nisar. We have Dr. Aisha Masood, then Dr. Mohsin Bashir, and then you yourself, Dr. Ghazal. And then we have faculty members who have worked with the USAID ASP LUMS program. They actually trained a lot of public sector officers in different domains. So to me, mashallah, we have a very strong base, जिसकी वजह से हम ये पब्लिक पॉलिसी का प्रोग्राम और बिजनेस एंड पब्लिक पॉलिसी में लॉन्च किया. एंड थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर कनेक्टिंग कि पब्लिक पॉलिसी से माइनर से हम चले और उसके बाद हमने मास्टर्स का प्रोग्राम लॉन्च कर दिया. मैं बिफोर आई गो टू मिस राबिया, मैं थोड़ा सा गजल आपसे पूछना चाहूँगा कि इस प्रोग्राम में अगर मैं पिछला प्रोफाइल देखूं जो अभी तक हमने प्रोग्राम पिछला लॉन्च किया था, और आई वाज हैप्पी टू सी कि female participants outnumbered male participants in this program. मुझे एक बहुत अच्छी बात है कि क्या वजह है इसकी, क्यों बहुत सारी females ने इसको join किया इस program को?
Well, it could, so I don't know why did they join. We're very happy. In fact, one of the new initiatives in our business school is that for graduate programs, we offer a 50% scholarship to all women who successfly make it, right? So of course, no compromise on merits, but whoever joins us gets that 50% off. Yeah, and it's been a wonderful experience teaching such a vibrant room full of mature young minds, you know, who've worked in the nonprofit sectors, in the public sectors, in the corporate sectors, and together, you know, the first cohort has been really fascinating.
Ji, thank you, Dr. Ghazal. But this is again, I should say that again, more females are there, and this might be the only program जिसमें माशाल्लाह फीमेल का नंबर ज़्यादा है. मैं मिस राबिया से पूछना चाहूँगा. राबिया has a very strong background पब्लिक सेक्टर की, उसके बाद इनका HR का एक्सपीरियंस भी है माशाल्लाह, और ये नेशनल प्रोडक्टिविटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की रीजनल हेड भी हैं ऑपरेशन साइड की, और APO से बड़ी स्ट्रांगली कनेक्टेड हैं, एशियन प्रोडक्टिविटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. आपके ख्याल में एज फार एज योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज कंसर्न, अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं as a talent hunt person for public sector, आपको क्या लगता है कि अगर आप सप्लाई साइड को देखें, लम से लोग पढ़ के आएंगे एंड देन वो अगर APO को या NPO को ज्वाइन करना चाहें, या आप अपने लोगों को इस प्रोग्राम में भेजना चाहें, आपने इसका जो है ना वो आउटलाइन प्रोग्राम की देखी है और थोड़ा सा आपको आइडिया भी है. So what is your understanding about this program, and as part of the market side of this program, mashallah, जो हमारी target audience है, आपका क्या ख्याल है इस program के बारे में? You can introduce yourself and then you can actually take up this.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anjum, for inviting me first and foremost, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to talk on this prestigious platform. Introduction की जहाँ तक बात है, starting from MBA in HR and marketing from private sector to a decade back, and I landed into public sector by sheer luck, because I was working as a resource person with them, and then they invited me to head the international relations department. I served as APO liaison officer. Asian Productivity Organization has 21 Asia Pacific countries, Pakistan being one of the 8 founding members since 1961. And from last 3 years, I am working as the regional head operations for almost all regions, excluding the capital. The rest all the regions are reporting to me. So it's a very, very large canvas, you know, that I have ended working with. अगर मैं आपसे candid एक बात करूं, concise statement दूं, तो I was pleasantly surprised कि LUMS has always been kind of an institute जो कि हमेशा बड़ा creative रहा है. But I was pleasantly surprised to know that they have incorporated business and public policy together. Because in my opinion, this is the need of the hour. We have been articulated, when I say we, I mean public sector. We have been articulated, articulate कर रहे हैं हम strategic and forward-looking vision to recognize the need for highly skilled employees so that they can drive public sector performance. और मैं समझती हूँ कि from formulation to implementation, we do require these kind of skilled employees के जिनको business के साथ-साथ public policy का भी comprehensive knowledge हो. And they have specific skills, knowledge and attitude, you know, so that they can perform or service delivery हमारी improve हो सके public sector की specifically. और अगर मैं इसमें बात करूं कि इसकी क्या इम्पोर्टेंस मुझे नजर आती है, तो आई थिंक कि इंस्टेड ऑफ लाइक फोकसिंग ओनली ऑन द सप्लाई साइड, लम्स के काफी अच्छे इनिशिएटिव्स हैं. जैसे आपको याद होगा लास्ट टाइम व्हेन आप कैल को रेफर कर रहे थे, तो उस वक्त भी एक्सपीरियंशियल एमबीए में एनपीओ वांटेड टू बी पार्ट ऑफ इट. एंड आई थिंक लाइकवाइज फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर प्रोग्राम, LUMS should outreach to different ministries, planning commission, even आपका जो national policy institute है जहाँ पे civil servants की training होती है, उनके साथ मिल के आप collaboratively ना सिर्फ उनके लोगों को अपने यहाँ पे invite करें, और बल्कि आपके students के लिए एक experiential जब आप component की बात करते हैं, जो मैंने अभी आपके प्रोग्राम की आउटलाइन में देखा, तो आई थिंक कि इस किस्म की अदारों में इन स्टूडेंट्स का जाकर काम करना फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर सेमेस्टर और रिसर्च ड्रिवन चीज़ों को, आई थिंक इट्स गोइंग टू बी अ टू फोल्ड बेनिफिट. मतलब इवन फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर इंस्टीट्यूट जहाँ पे वो जाके काम करें, और इवन फॉर लम्स एज वेल. तो क्योंकि कई दफ़ा हम इस किस्म की पॉलिसीज और लेजिस्लेशंस बना रहे होते हैं कि जहाँ पे पूरे सेक्टर को वो इम्पैक्ट कर रही होती है. तो मिसाल के तौर पे अगर हम ऑटो इंडस्ट्री के लिए कोई पॉलिसी लाना चाहते हैं, कोई हेल्थ केयर का कोई नेशनल बिल पास करवाना चाहते हैं, तो वी नीड पीपल हु हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ एक्यूमेन कि वो उनके पास बिजनेस की भी नो हाउ हो और वो पब्लिक पॉलिसी या पब्लिक सेक्टर की जो डायनामिक्स हैं उनको भी देखें. So they should have a strong knowledge of legal, social, political, economic, and जो भी आपके technological हैं. तो I think this is a very good program and an extremely needed sort of an initiative with which LUMS has come forward. And as far as my ministry and my institute is concerned, so we are always there, you know, in any sort of help that may be needed.
Gee, thank you, Rabia. You talked about policy and formulating policy. I mean, there are three different sort of levels मुझे जो आपकी बात से समझ में आई.
जी जी.
One is policy formulation, दूसरा शायद policy dissemination, और तीसरी शायद policy की implementation का question.
जी बिल्कुल, जी बिल्कुल.
अच्छा, formulation में तो जब as far as I know और जो मेरा experience रहा public sector के साथ, different ministries के साथ, मुझे लगता है कि हम जनरली PC1 को फॉलो करते हैं, PC1 से PC5
जी जी
जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं. बट वहाँ पे जब जिस तरह एसएमई पॉलिसी भी बन रही थी 2007 में, एंड आई वाज पार्ट ऑफ दैट, शायद आप एनपीओ भी उसमें इन्वॉल्व था जब स्मीना.
जी जी, वी वर आल्सो पार्ट ऑफ इट.
अच्छा, इंटरेस्टिंगली मुझे तब भी ये रियलाइजेशन हुई कि एसएमई पॉलिसी तो बन गई, लेकिन एसएमई क्लस्टर मैपिंग नहीं हो पाई.
जी बिल्कुल.
तो आपसे मेरा क्वेश्चन, लिंक क्वेश्चन ये है कि क्या आपको लगता है कि ये प्रोग्राम उधर भी हमें हेल्प कर सकता है? बिकॉज ये स्टूडेंट्स जाहिर है बिजनेस और पॉलिसी को कनेक्ट करने की कोशिश करेंगे.
जी बिल्कुल,
पॉलिसी को.
जी बिल्कुल.
तो
मैंने
पाकिस्तान में हमें जो है ना वो सिचुएशन एनालिसिस की कहीं ना कहीं जरूरत पड़ेगी, कहीं पे हमें फाइलिंग की भी जरूरत पड़ेगी. बिकॉज अगर आपको याद हो, आहान ने भी एक जमाने में 600 आर्टिजन क्लस्टर्स के ऊपर काम किया, बट वो उससे आगे गया नहीं.
जी बिल्कुल.
ख्याल है कि ये स्टूडेंट्स जो हैं या ये जो प्रोग्राम है कहाँ आपके ख्याल में, बिकॉज ये बड़े काम है, फॉर एग्जांपल जो क्लस्टर मैपिंग है या इंडस्ट्री मैपिंग है या पॉलिसी और उसको बिजनेस को कनेक्ट कैसे करना है, तो आपका क्या इसके ऊपर टेक है आपके ख्याल में?
मेरी तो इसमें सजेशन ये होगी कि आपको फिर इसमें काफी सारे स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनर्स को ऑन बोर्ड लेना पड़ेगा. मतलब नॉट ओनली आपके जो पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप है या इवन आपका जैसे प्लानिंग कमीशन है या जैसे मैंने आपको नेशनल पॉलिसी इंस्टीट्यूट की बात की, आपके रिसर्च थिंक टैंक्स हैं. सो इट इज गोइंग टू बी अ कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव सेट ऑफ स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनर्स हु वुड कलेक्टिवली वर्क टुगेदर. बिकॉज आपकी बात बिल्कुल ठीक है कि एक पॉलिसी बन जाती है, बट फिर उसकी आगे फॉर्मुलेशन तो हो जाती है, बट उसके अंदर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन या उसका जो पोस्ट इम्प्लीमेंटेशन एक तरह का रिजल्ट करना चाहिए, कंडक्ट या रिसर्च, वो नहीं हो पाती है. तो आई थिंक इसमें लम्स कैन प्ले अ वेरी फॉरवर्ड लुकिंग सॉर्ट ऑफ अ रोल. और ये जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं इनके बड़े ब्राइट चांसेस हैं टू become part of our civil service और वहाँ पे मतलब एक change को लेकर आना, because again change management is a long and tedious sort of a process. It doesn't happen overnight. तो you're very right कि ये आपके जो चीजें हैं इसमें हमें, मैं आपको मिसाल देती हूँ कि जैसे अब हमारे पब्लिक सेक्टर के बहुत सारे जो इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं वहाँ पे obviously there is a lack of skilled, highly skilled इस किस्म के जो prestigious institutes के लोग हैं वो बहुत ज्यादा पब्लिक सेक्टर की तरफ inclined इतना नहीं होते. बातों बातों में डॉक्टर गजल का जो एक पॉइंट था रिगार्डिंग वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन, तो वो मैं थोड़ा सा हाईलाइट करना चाहूंगी कि अभी वर्ल्ड बैंक ने भी आइडेंटिफाई किया है इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ को, और यूएनडीपी की भी एक आई थिंक 2017 या 18 की, इफ आई रिमेम्बर करेक्टली, कि उसमें परसेंटेज ऑफ वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन इन द पब्लिक सेक्टर हैज ट्रेमेंडसली इंक्रीज्ड. कोई अराउंड 40 to 45% हो गई है अब अगर आप सिविल सर्विस को देखें. और उसका एक रीजन यही है कि जो हमारा सोसाइटी का एक या सोशल जो नॉर्म्स हैं उसमें पीपल फील मोर कंफर्टेबल कि अगर उनके जो फीमेल हैं उनकी फैमिलीज के अंदर वो पब्लिक सेक्टर से एसोसिएटेड हों. इट कुड इवन बी एजुकेशन सेक्टर या आपका जो भी, तो वो ज्यादा कंफर्टेबल फील करते हैं कि जो वर्किंग वुमेन है वो वहां पे जाएं रादर देन वर्किंग फॉर द प्राइवेट सेक्टर. सो नो वंडर कि वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन हैज इंक्रीज. तो उसमें हम लोगों का एक प्रोग्राम था जिसमें हमें प्रोडक्टिविटी इंडाइसेस के ऊपर काम करना था. वी वांटेड कि सेक्टोरल स्पेसिफिक रिसर्च हो, हम प्रोडक्टिविटी इंडाइसेस बनाएं फॉर डिफरेंट सेक्टर्स, एंड वी wanted to bring in like statistical bureau वालों के साथ भी. लेकिन जो सिर्फ शॉर्टेज हुई वो इसी सिलसिले में हुई कि we could not find sort of students, या आप कह लें कि वो लोग जो कि रिसर्च को उस तरह से ओवरऑल, क्योंकि जब आप प्रोडक्टिविटी इंडाइसेस फॉर अ सर्टेन सेक्टर बात करते हैं तो इट्स अ वेरी लार्ज कंपोनेंट, और उसमें आपको फिर उस किस्म के इन्फ्लक्स चाहिए होता है रेगुलर बेसिस के ऊपर. तो उसी ज़िमन में जब मेरी आपसे बात हुई थी लम्स के वो एक्सपीरियंशियल में, तो दैट वाज वन एलिमेंट व्हिच वी वर कंसीडरिंग.
जी Rabia, thank you very much for giving this market perspective. Now may I request to Dr. Ghazal on this question that ये कौन सी pedagogy हम use करते हैं, कौन सी blended learnings हम इसमें इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं इस program में, and how we are trying to add value from our side to this program. Ji, Dr. Ghazal, if you can kindly share your thoughts on this.
Sure, I'll get started and then On can supplement. But before that, I just wanted to respond to something that Rabia said, which was very interesting about how, this development of indices and how our participation and, could have been something that would be meaningful on both sides. So I think in the 2017 mein partnership ki thi with the Commission on Status of Women, Punjab Commission, and we did exactly that. So we made a program, a summer program, in which we taught policy writing, policy research to our brightest undergraduates. And then we placed them with the commission, and the commission then placed them in the field, in the various projects. For instance, gender MIS was a big thing. And then there were other research projects that was really exciting. So the students loved it, and we had a great time. So that's the kind of thing that you're talking about, that we would love to, and of course,
absolutely. Absolutely. That's the kind of thing which I am focusing. I mean, I wish ke LUMS could work is tarah ke more programs, and especially with the federal government if it is possible.
Yeah, we would love
because फिर वो all across Pakistan में उसको एक आप reflect कर सकेंगे, impact उसका ज़्यादा बेहतर हो जाए.
Leadership under that, we should be able to make these strong connections. So thank you for pointing this out. हमारा जो program है वो I think and On can talk about it more broadly because that's not the only masters that we've launched. We've launched these master's programs from the business school that are at the interconnection of business and policy, and then business and healthcare, business and technology. So usme we are, it is experiential learning, it is case-based learning, but then it goes beyond that. So it's a blend. Hamara ek jo big component of the master's is the thesis, in which the students have to be in the field and they have to work on real world projects. So that is, you know, taking it beyond the classroom, beyond that case-based learning. And then even the, you know, the pandemic has not stopped our students. While we did have to have virtual meetings when the government shut us down and we had to move entirely online, but I was amazed, you know, with the work that these students produced, the primary research that they were able to collect, even though they were stuck at home, they were not allowed by the government to leave, but they have produced wonderful projects. And these now need to, I feel, not sit at the school, but need to go beyond, and, you know, we can have policy discussions, policy roundtables on the subjects that the students have produced such excellent work on. So maybe On, you can talk about the...
Right, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Russell. Thank you, Rabia. Really good insights. So basically the pedagogy at SDSB, so first of all, broadly, and then especially in the graduate programs, is more, it's basically a participant-centered learning model. It's not the traditional teaching mode where the instructor comes and delivers. It's more of the whole class, the students and the instructors, they're all participants in that learning exercise. And it's the combined experience, the combined knowledge that is shared to ensure an enriching learning environment and experience. Structurally, when we launched this, the specialized MS programs, and where the business and public policy is one of them, it was it's structured in a manner that when the students come in, they have they have one semester, which is kind of a crash course or of management toolkit. It has courses on management and leadership. It has courses on accounting and finance, on marketing, on economics, covering both micro and macroeconomics. And the first semester, they are given all the basic tools and skills that any business requires. All right, so it's not naturally, you can't compare it with an advanced management degree, but all the basic skills that are required are compressed and taught. And that is followed by specialized courses in the spring semester. And so all across the program, the focus is on focus is on more engaging discussions. Some case studies are utilized, simulations are used by instructors and the students in it, with the rationale that there needs to be quite a lot of hands-on and share experiences and knowledge with each other. And towards and then that is followed by a course on research methods, research and data analytics. And then there is the experiential part, which is the field thesis, the project that the students need to undertake. And that it can be done independently or can be done in collaboration with an organization, be it public sector or business sector. So the whole program has this major experiential component, which comes in through the field thesis research project part. And during the courses as well, there is we tend to engage with the industry and the public sector to bring in speakers, to bring in panels who talk about actually what is happening in um, the public sector, in the business sector, and the current trends and challenges uh, of that the country is facing, that the society is facing, and where can we contribute more and more towards. So that's the whole learning ideology that we follow across uh, our programs, and naturally MS Business and Public Policy program being one of our graduate programs, the same focus and methodology is utilized.
John, thank you very much for sharing your input on this pedagogy part. But a link question to Dr. Ghazal is that you have recently taught a course to MS Business and Public Policy students. And again, obviously, because of COVID-19, it was an online teaching sort of methodology, I would say. What kind of experience you passed through, and your feeling about this? Because again, the students who actually came in last year, they entered in the COVID situation, and they're still sort of passing through this process. And we hope that this situation will improve, inshallah, in the next 4 to 6 months. But in the meantime, I mean, the people who are trying to apply to this program, I would like to request you to share that what kind of challenges you faced, or what kind of comfort you gave to these students through this online teaching sort of platform, which was obviously a kind of a compulsion. Is COVID में हम online teaching ही कर सकते हैं. So Dr. Ghazal.
Gee, so Dr. Anjum, again, we'll go back to LUMS, and I think that we had no idea that the pandemic was coming. But you know, but the truth of the matter is, given our Vice Chancellor's emphasis on blended learning and hybrid classrooms, we had already set up a learning center at the university that was putting in resources and training faculty for for this kind of learning, because in universities across the world, they've already moved to online learning for to a great extent. So we had already gone in that direction. So Allah ka bahut shukar hai कि when the pandemic hit, we could hit the ground running. We spent intensive hours of training, retraining, and I think that even if we go back to a physical classroom, we will not go back to where we were, because of the amazing learning journey that we've all had, right? And I do think that if you talk to students, ek saal guzar chuka hai, then initially, of course, there was a lot of anxiety, and that was felt across the board. But now we have come to appreciate the things we can do that we couldn't do in a physical classroom. And hopefully, when we move back to face-to-face interaction, we will bring these, a lot of the things that we have gained in this past 1 year. And at the MS level, I would say, because the students were already so mature and they were bringing their work experiences, their professional experiences, we were able to really take advantage of this new normal. And I've really enjoyed it, and we've been able to make really strong bonds, despite the fact that we haven't met each other physically. For some of us, some of them have. And I think jab wo thesis ki bari aayegi, of course, they will have to go into the field, and hopefully by then we will be able to work with them closely on a physical level, but really that bond and the tools that they have now, with the research methods, of course, it's coming in the summer, magar already unki itni learning ho chuki hai. One thing that I would like, if any prospective applicant is listening, is that LUMS, our mode of teaching, especially at the graduate level, but even at the undergraduate level, is very different from what students coming from this country are used to. Right? I'm also a student. I also got my undergraduate from Pakistan. So very honestly, we are used to lecture-driven classes We are used to the professor delivering a lecture in monotones, and that is not how we do teaching. As you know, On said, this is very participatory and it's student-centered learning. So when people apply here, they need to understand that the classroom their participation is key. We cannot do without the full participation of each participant, right? हमसे कभी कभार कहा जाता है कि class participation बहुत ज़्यादा high है उसकी grading, but that's because we want to get that point across that if I'm faculty, I'm not going to speak for 90 minutes. Maybe I'll speak for 20 at the most. I'll maybe I'll just channel the discussion, but the students are the ones and their experience that is going to drive and excite the classroom and charge the classroom. So I don't know if On and Dr. Anjum, you'd like to add to that.
Ji, On, you want to say something, because it's we are talking about participant centered learning and pedagogy, and then the pressure of CP. So we have seen this especially in the MBA program, that students are crazy to speak, even if so can you kindly throw some light on this? Because again, people coming from this public sector program, business and public policy, how to sort of create a comfort for them?
Yeah, so this is always a challenge, and which is so I got my undergraduate in Pakistan as well, and even as an instructor to address it is a challenge. It is a challenging and an exciting experience. From a student perspective, so for anyone who's considering applying for a graduate program at the business school and for the MS Business and Public Policy, one thing which is very critical is that this is you would need to put in hours for it. It is going don't expect that an instructor would come in and just speak for 90 minutes and you can just take down notes and then pass the course. You have to put in hours prior to the class. You need to come in prepared, because the whole idea of this participant-centered learning model is that to allow and to give space to the students to think out of the box, to use their experiences, to recall their experiences, to learn from experiences of the other participants in the room, and then reach conclusions or reach decisions which are appropriate. So basically, to enhance their the whole experience, the whole 90 minutes of discussion on a topic X in class, when there are 35, 40 people, participants in class, and everyone is from a diverse background. And you know that's the beauty of the profile in all of the programs, especially in the MS Business and Public Policy. The background diversity, the experience diversity, that enriches the discussion and gives the students an exposure that from a singular instructor is never achievable. So for any student who is planning on coming for this program, it is going to be an exciting journey, but it's going to be a demanding journey as well. So it will require the hours, it will require the effort, but at the end of the day, every effort that we make, or any effort that we make, there are positive results for that effort, and that's basically what we try to achieve here.
You touched a very interesting part, but I would like to go back to Ghazal for a while once again. You talked about the background of participants. जो अभी तक हमारे पास एक बैच आया और माशाल्लाह अगला बैच is in pipeline. Ghazal, आपकी क्या feeling रही कि background, somebody coming from computer science background or literature background, economics background, business background, I don't know, and multiple experiences. आपके ख्याल में ये प्रोग्राम उनको कैसे कैसे support करता है people coming from various backgrounds and going in a certain direction, which is business and public policy direction. फजल, आप अभी आपका क्या experience रहा?
जी अंजुम, एक तो ये कि ज़्यादातर students, of course, the most recent experience is their professional experience, so they bring that. But then, of course, everyone has interests. We have some students that have an interest in philosophy, some students that have an interest in economics, and that I really welcome. So the way we structure our courses is also because, first of all, जो आपने शुरू में vision mission की बात की, so at LUMS we take that and we very thoughtfully. And some of the discussions that we have, the framing of the discussions is really on the foundations of ethics and justice, right? Because at the end of the day, policy and business has to be about society, and it's society that matters, right? That's our unit of analysis, and that's our unit of change, hopefully. So our discussions have been centered on that kind of, on those philosophical foundations. And then we've taken, again, हमारे जो pedagogy है और जो हमारे faculty की research है, वो इतनी varied है, इतनी diverse है. For instance, one of our faculty members is a critical realist accountant. That's Dr. Junaid Ashraf. One of his pieces of scholarship that I introduced to the students, and we had a wonderful discussion on, was how did the Italian government use its accounting regime to to deal with the influx of migrants and in a subversive fashion. It was a fascinating article. The students were just they were able to make connections with our own politics and policy in Pakistan, And then there was another one on a critical take on CSR in the Russian Federation. So that again, we were able to take apart CSR policies from a social justice perspective. So again, students की जो diversity है, the diversity of academic and professional backgrounds really made the discussion exciting. So the reading can only do so much. The faculty can do only so much. It's really the students then that have to take it to the next step. Rabia, you smiling. I wonder if you have anything to add here.
Please, Rabia.
I've been smiling because काफी comprehensively आप इसको लेके चल रहे हैं, जैसे डॉक्टर ऑन ने भी बताया कि because I wanted to highlight at the same time being the headhunter as well, कि apart from the academic skills, बहुत सारे और skills भी required होते हैं, but I was happy that Dr. On rightly pointed out कि leadership skills हैं, risk management skills हैं, project management skills हैं. So these are also very, very necessary. और आपकी बात पे मैं इसलिए मुस्कुरा रही हूँ because I think maybe LUMS does not realize, लेकिन ये जितने आप लोग students आपके graduate होंगे, they will have ample opportunities. As far as job creation का जो एक government का है, उसमें I think आप लोग बड़ा अच्छी तरह actively play कर रहे हैं because ये लोग ना सिर्फ public sector में adjust हो सकते हैं, बल्कि private sector, development sector, NGO sector, मतलब the options are multiple for them. So this is really interesting कि ये एक जो social aspect है कि लोगों की jobs का जो मसला होता है, so these graduates will have ample opportunities to work in any sector and be a constructive part of the society and help Pakistan. और बल्कि मैं तो चाहूंगी कि अगर ये student CSS के अंदर आ जाएं, तो फिर तो हमारी civil service की भी सारी आइंदा 10-20 सालों में एक अच्छी cream आ जाएगी हमारे पास. The way we look at
जी राबा, thank you very much. Actually अभी हमारी जो बात हो रही थी just before the seminar कि हम how can we sort of involve different public sector platforms, जिसमें ये national management college है जो ex NIPA था, फिर DMG campus है, फिर ministries हैं और इस तरह के जितने प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं they can be involved and they can actually become our partners somehow. लेकिन before I move forward मुझे गजल आपसे एक क्वेश्चन करना है छोटा सा, because you teach business government relations और लोगों का जनरली ये पब्लिक सेक्टर में ये मिथ है कि कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस कुछ और है और पब्लिक सेक्टर मैनेजमेंट कुछ और है. और ये बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग एक्सपीरियंस रहा. अभी रिसेंट पास में आई वाज वर्किंग विद अ फैमिली बिजनेस बिकमिंग अ कॉर्पोरेट बिजनेस और उनके कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस के इश्यूज थे एंड देन देयर वाज लॉट ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल पॉलिटिक्स वाज देयर अराउंड दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस का इशू. सो टू मी आपके ख्याल में ये जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं ये कैसे प्रोग्राम को देखें इन टर्म्स ऑफ corporate governance and business and public policy ka program?
Ji, Anjum. So there is a direct relation, right? Hamara jo program is built around this nexus of corporate governance and public policy. And kisi bhi business ko और सेक्टर को इंडस्ट्री को एग्जिस्ट करने के लिए पॉलिसी से तो कांस्टेंट there's a constant connection with policy. There is no way around it. And how do we understand policy? We had some really engaging guest speaker sessions. We had the General Secretary of PASHA, that's the Pakistan Association of Software Houses, who talked about, some of the things that Rabia is mentioning. For instance, the many instances when policymakers really want informed experts, these experts from the field to come and give their input in policy making. I was part of the Labour Ministry consultations when they were trying to put together the Punjab Domestic Worker Act. So, I know कि ये जो connections हैं, ये बहुत direct हैं, and ये constant होते हैं. So, if you have, for instance, a graduate from this program working in a private sector organization, then with the kind of experience that they've now had, with the kind of policy analysis skills and business and leadership skills that they have now hopefully taken on, then they will be able to make that connection much more easily from the corporate side. Because unka policy se itna exposure ho chuka hai, policy writing, policy analysis, policy, they've done presentations. So now I feel that they would be an asset to any corporation. So for profit, not just non-profit. That's my personal take on it.
Dr. Ghazal, very interesting आपने बात कही. While I was working for almost 50 different industries all across Pakistan, Iran and Italy, जब मैं यूनिडो और यूएनडीपी के लिए काम कर रहा था, ये बड़ी एक इंटरेस्टिंग बात मुझे समझ में आई कि जो एक्सपोर्ट ओरिएंटेड एसएमईज हैं या क्लस्टर्स हैं, they work with 27 public sector departments in 1 month. They're connected to a lot of public sector departments. और मुझे लगता है कि ये इस प्रोग्राम में ये एक बड़ा कैची sort of connection है बिजनेस का और पब्लिक पॉलिसी का, and understanding the public policy mindset. आपका क्या ख्याल, बिकॉज और राबिया से भी मैं क्वेश्चन करूंगा अभी एज ए, बिकॉज वी हैव 8 minutes to go, so 2 से 3 मिनट में ये हम जो करियर बेस्ड क्वेश्चन है कि स्टूडेंट को, जो हमारे स्टूडेंट हैं उनको करियर कहाँ पे नजर आएगा इन बिजनेस एंड पब्लिक पॉलिसी, और वो कौन सी पार्किंग प्लेसेस होंगी उनके लिए, जो कि बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. बट अगेन आई वुड लाइक टू नो योर पर्सपेक्टिव and Rabia's sort of input on this, कि वो स्टूडेंट इसको कैसे देखें इस प्रोग्राम को, बिकॉज अगेन जो लोग अभी अप्लाई करने वाले हैं, जो कर चुके हैं, वो क्या एक्साइटमेंट होगी जो कि उनको पुश करेगी टू अप्लाई फॉर दिस प्रोग्राम. जी गजल, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल.
Gee, I think, I would really like Rabia's response to this, and I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say. I can just continue with what I was saying before, and that is कि जो हमारे experiential learning के aspects हैं, उसमें I think those connections to the students have become really clear. For instance, I can just tell you that the students had to do a presentation and a report on, on any aspect of business and government. So we had students doing work on the tourism industry in Gilgit-Baltistan, students looking at child labor in the leather industry value chain, and then we had students looking at labor and GSP plus. So the work that they did was stunning, because what did they do? They went to all the relevant stakeholders. So they went to the ministry, they went to policymakers, they went to the industrialists. So for instance, in the textile the leather chain, they went to the leather retailer, they went to the tanneries, they went to, to just from the perspective of child labor. Of course, the findings were not anything to be proud of, I mean, as Pakistanis. But then they also went to the labor ministry, and they went through all the acts, and they asked the reality of these inspections, labor inspections. And the result was an incredible piece of scholarship from the students' perspective, right? तो इस तरह के काम जो उन्होंने हर कोर्स में करके उसके बाद एक thesis लिख के, which is like, of course, much bigger than a course assessment, when they are then ready to hit the job market, I really think that we've done the best we could with them and with their own effort. And I don't know, I'd like to hear what Rabia has to say about that.
Ji, Rabia, in the next 1 to 2 minutes.
जैसे थैंक यू, मैंने जैसे पहले बोला कि जो आप कह रहे हैं कि लोग जो इसमें आएंगे उनकी एक्साइटमेंट यही है कि दे वुड हैव अ लॉट ऑफ पॉसिबिलिटीज एज फार एज उनकी जॉब्स आर कंसर्न्ड, और वो बहुत सारे सेक्टर्स के अंदर जो है वो बड़ा एक्टिव रोल प्ले कर सकते हैं. जैसे अभी डॉक्टर साहिबा ने भी बताया कि आप जब एक इवन प्राइवेट सेक्टर की भी अगर एक कंपनी है तो ना सिर्फ लाइक वो लीगल एस्पेक्ट को देख रही होती है, मतलब समटाइम्स दे आर डीलिंग विद मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इंडस्ट्रीज, फिर कॉमर्स के साथ, फिर आपको मे बी एक्रेडिटेशन काउंसिल साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी वालों के साथ आप एलसीज खुलवा रहे हैं, तो बैंकिंग, मतलब possibilities are numerous. And I think कि private sector और public sector दोनों prefer करेंगे. LUM can serve as a, वो जिसको कहते हैं ना कि as a employer branding के तौर पे आप लोग कर सकते हैं कि आप लोगों के students जो हैं, और माशाल्लाह फिर जिस किस्म का काम faculty करवा रही है उनसे, और जितनी वेरिड किस्म की उनकी मतलब जिसको हम पब्लिक सेक्टर टर्मिनोलॉजी में कहते हैं कि अच्छी ग्रिलिंग हो रही है उनकी, तो वो जब इतना वो ग्रिल होके निकलेंगे तो वो बिल्कुल ही आई थिंक एक एसेट होंगे. एंड पब्लिक, प्राइवेट, डेवलपमेंट सेक्टर, नॉन प्रॉफिट सेक्टर, एवरीवन वुड लाइक टू हैव दीज काइंड ऑफ ग्रेजुएट्स के जहाँ पे वो सारे उस तरह से सर्व कर सकें पर्पस एक अदारे.
Rabia, thank you very much. We have 4 minutes to go. I would like, there are a lot of other things in my mind जो कि हम discuss कर सकते हैं, और ये बड़ी मजे की discussion है because it is too exciting for us to actually talk about the value which can be added through this platform. Alhamdulillah. But मैं ये चाहूँगा कि ऑन से शुरू करके और फिर गजल और फिर राबिया, if you can sort of give 1-liner or 2-liner message to the existing and potential prospective students जो कि इस प्रोग्राम में आना चाहें, क्या वो एक बात या 2 बातें आप करना चाहोगे जो कि ये एक मैसेज की तरह जाए लोगों को कि why they should join us and be part of the team जो कि इस डोमेन में वैल्यू ऐड करना चाहेगी. जी, मैं ऑन से शुरू करूंगा.
So thank you, Dr. Anjum. So in Pakistan, we are standing at a very critical and a very exciting juncture. The possibilities going forward are limitless, and as I see it, we have a huge upsurge ahead of us in terms of growth and development. And this is exciting times. These kind of programs, the business and public policy, a program which is at the cross sections of public policy and business and the government relations, as well as impact in society. This is which will this kind of a program, or these graduates, the ones who are enrolled, who will graduate soon, and the many more that will go through this program in the future. These will be the engines of growth for this country, and the impact that they can create will change lives of many, hopefully millions for the better. So it's more of being part of that process of change and bright future, inshallah. So that's
Thank you
the way I
जी.
look at it. Yeah.
जी गजल, आपको एक one liner, two liner statement देना चाहें before I conclude the discussion.
Gee, I would just say that, you know, we're in the business of producing thoughtful leaders. And this program in particular is designed for a higher order thinking on leadership, because it connects policy with business. So wherever it is that you're coming from, the nonprofit, the public sector, or the private sector, this program is going to give you a 360.
Inshallah. जी Rabia, last comment, then I conclude the discussion.
Last comment यही है कि ये graduates, I think they will become a constructive part of the society and they'll be able to bring a positive change. They'll work as a change agent, not only as leaders, but as change agents as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, panelists. I would like to conclude by saying कि आप इस program को join करें. देखें, it's a process of constructive destruction and destructive constructivism. अगर आप इसको समझने की कोशिश करें तो कहीं पे तोड़ के जोड़ना पड़ता है, कहीं जुड़े हुए को तोड़ना पड़ता है, और ये हमें समझने की ज़रूरत है कि ये लम्स का एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है। और मैं अगर अपने आप को भी देखूं तो मेरी ज़िंदगी लम्स की वजह से चेंज हुई है। When I did my MBA from LUMS, and it was a U-turn for my life at least. And we are here, और हम में से बहुत सारे फैकल्टी मेंबर ऐसे ही पागल हैं जो कि सारे वैल्यू ऐड करने के लिए बैठे हुए हैं इंशाल्लाह। तो आप लोगों से मेरी गुजारिश है कि अगर आप यू आर सिटिंग एट द एज कि अप्लाई करूं कि ना करूं, जस्ट क्लिक और इस पे अप्लाई करें और बी पार्ट ऑफ दैट कम्युनिटी, जैसे राबिया ने भी कहा और गजल ने भी और ने भी, कि उस चेंज का हिस्सा बन जाए। मैं दो बातें जाने से पहले कहूंगा कि एक तो ऑब्वियसली ये बिजनेस और गवर्नमेंट का रिलेशनशिप हमेशा से ही बड़ा ट्रिकी रहा है, और एकेडेमिया जो है ना उसका भी इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग रोल नहीं रहा पास्ट में। इसी वजह से इंडस्ट्री एकेडेमिया लिंकेज का जो कनेक्शन है वो हमेशा से ही बहुत चैलेंजिंग रहता है। तो अगर आप उस चैलेंज का हिस्सा बनना चाहते हैं तो आपको कुछ फर्क करना पड़ेगा। वो इसके बारे में एक कोट है बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग विच सेज कि इफ यू डू व्हाटएवर यू हैव बीन डूइंग यू विल गेट व्हाटएवर यू हैव बीन गेटिंग। तो अगर वही करते रहोगे भाई साहब तो वही मिलेगा जो पहले मिलता रहा। अगर कुछ वखरा करना है तो फिर वखरा मिलेगा। जो दूसरी बात मुझे जो मेरी ज़िंदगी का अपनी मिशन स्टेटमेंट तो मैं नहीं कहूँगा, पर जिसमें मैंने बेस करने की कोशिश की अपनी ज़िंदगी को, मैं चाहूँगा आप भी मेरे साथ शामिल हो जाएं और ये पैनलिस्ट भी मेरे साथ शामिल हैं इसमें। वो कहते हैं कि इंस्टेड ऑफ स्ट्राइकिंग व्हाइल द आयरन इज हॉट, व्हाई नॉट टू मेक आयरन हॉट बाय स्ट्राइकिंग। समुंदर के बाहर बैठे हुए वो कहते हैं ना, शिप इन हार्बर इज सेफ बट दैट इज नॉट व्हाट शिप्स फॉर। बाहर बैठ के तमाशा देखना तो सारी दुनिया देखती है, लेकिन अगर समुद्र में छलांग लगानी है और गहराई नापनी है तो आपको कहीं ना कहीं किसी ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म का, किसी ऐसी कंपनी का हिस्सा बनना पड़ेगा जो कि वैल्यू ऐड कर सके और हम सब मिलकर इस मुल्क की तकदीर को बदल सकें। थैंक यू वेरी मच। थैंक यू।